Now finally, I think okay, it's time. I have pointed out that there are two poles of our existence, the negative or receiving pole, the positive or the transmitting pole. The negative existence is called living being and the positive existence is called the Lord of all in you. The first is called the living being, the second is called the Lord in you. So, we have given the preliminaries about the mind and the senses which form the lower man or the not self. That can be represented like this according to the tradition. The senses are five faculties. The sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of smell, sense of taste, and sense of touch. The mind is working as the center or the one who is living inside. Imagine this as a mirror reflecting outside. Here there are the five objects. 1, 2 object, 3 object, like that. There are 5 objects. For sight, there is the shape and the light. For hearing, there is the sound and the word, syllable. For smell, there is the substance which gives the smell. For taste, there is something, the medium is water for taste. For touch, anything from outside which gives the touch. These are called the objects. All the 5 senses have the 5 objects. And the objects are offering their presence to the inner man. And these 5 form what is called the environment. And the environment is presenting itself through these 5 senses. And the mind is conditioned by these 5. So we live environment condition. Whenever the environment changes, our conditioning changes. So we go on changing and we call it life. This is what we normally know as life. This, everything reflecting upon this, falling and reflecting. So we react like a mirror to the environment. That is what we have described yesterday. This reaction is called vritti in the yoga science. Vritti, that is reaction. the activity of mind with all these senses is undergoing vritti every moment. But all these things are expressed through the brain cells and the spinal column. So this whole process is taking place and being transmitted through the brain cells. And it is transmitted through the spinal column and through the nervous system everywhere into the body. And the body begins to work. So the whole thing is only a reaction to the environment. This is vritti. So we can call him, who is dwelling here, as the receiving pole, because he is receiving everything. This ring is the receiving pole or negative pole. Negative because it is receiving and reflecting. It has nothing of its own. But inside there is another center. From that center, the power, the 5 powers are being transmitted outside. These 5 powers are emitted like light, just as the sun gives his rays. So he is emitting the rays, and the outer ring, he is receiving impressions. We call this whole by the name I am. So there is a big deception in the whole thing. Sometimes while seeing, we call this I am, because we say I am seeing. When we say I am hearing, we mean this by I am. Like that, 5 types. And when we say I am thinking, we mean this outer ring by I am. So this is what is to be controlled and neutralized. This is the false I am, because it is the reflecting and the receiving pole. Now this is transmitting pole. The center, it is the transmitting pole or positive pole.
Or?
Positive
Positive.
pole. When you speak I am, if you can feel this and speak I am from here, that is correct. That is your true existence. Because this is the transmitting pole. If you mean all these things, you feel all these things and say I am, that is the not self. So the whole process of yoga now is to arrest the activity temporarily. The activity of receiving the impressions from the environment and reflecting our action. Because our action is conditioned by the environment here and we have no action of our own. The mirror has no action of its own. Yesterday I gave you an example. In the night, we want to see what is there outside. Suppose I arrived here for the first time in night time, about 11:30 or 12, when it is dark everything. I could not see what it was. I came that way into the house. I stand here. I want to see what is there. Now suppose I switch on the light here. What happens? It is dark outside. This light is reflected here and I understand that there is a big hall outside with everything like this because this is reflected. So when you ask me what is there that side, my answer is a beautiful hall like this there also. So we can't continue this activity, go on, because in the night if I try to go outside, then only I will understand it is too cold and there are trees, there are stones, etc. So our actions are not safe while we are living like this. So what we have to do first is take off the light here. Then you have a light there and on the light. Then light comes from that side. You will understand what is there. In between there is this glass. This glass is reflecting glass. This is the glass which is called the surface of the mind, which we normally call mind. Of course, the term mind has many layers to be separately studied. You can study them in the mechanism of the soul and other books. But the total, we roughly take it as mind at first. Now, the whole activity, that is, the activity of the negative pole is being transmitted through us. What we have to do is, we want the activity of the positive pole work through the brain cells and into the action of the body. That is what we want to do in the yoga. This is the whole process.